Yo, what is up, guys? Today, I just want to have a quick look at Metro Exodus and just share my views on the Enhanced Edition. Now, straight off the bat, I just want to clarify, I haven't completed the game, I haven't gone all the way through just yet. I've played a really big portion of it, and I feel like I've played enough to be able to share my opinion on whether it's worth upgrading, or whether you haven't even bought the game yet and you're thinking about it because the Enhanced Edition's out. Now, I just want to clarify that it's not going to be any spoilers in this at all. I mean, I don't know enough to spoil the entire story anyway, but I'm just going to try and keep the actual story details to a bare minimum here. First thing I want to discuss is the visuals. Obviously, that's the main thing when it comes to Metro Exodus, and it is beautiful. Hands down, it is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. It's up there with, say, Cyberpunk or, one of the Battlefield games. It's stunning. Absolutely is the Enhanced Edition. Now, how it plays and how it feels, a little bit different, and I've got a couple of gripes here and there that I do want to point out, but how it looks, I don't need to say much more on it. The visuals are simply breathtaking. Exploring the multitude of biomes and environments are just unbelievable at times. Honestly, you can really get lost in the visuals and just the ambience as well. I mean, when you explore sewers, metro, snowy plains, sandy desert, whatever it might be, an old Soviet bunker, it's stunning regardless, especially when you get those, I think, little glowy mushrooms or whatever underground really just light up specific areas in this beautiful neon glow. It's stunning. I've run out of words to describe it. Beautiful, stunning, amazing. Pick one of them, run with it. That's what it is. Now, when you jump into the game, you really do feel that ambience straight away. The direction the devs are trying to show you. The visuals and the sound design go a great way of trying to translate that as well. The sound design is on point. I don't usually touch on that when it comes to game design because, it's kind of a forgotten trait, but it is really good. It really lends itself, especially when you are visiting all those biomes, and they're all going to have different kind of vibes to them, aren't they? Like echoes in an echoey cave or metro and stuff like that, and they nail that too. But obviously, the visuals steal the show. Now, I do want to get the bad stuff out of the way really quickly because there are some gripes that I just want to breeze over, take what you will from them. It's not the end of the world. I still think overall, they could be improved, but it's not game breaking or anything like that. So no spoilers right off the back. At the beginning of the game, you find out that there are more people out there, and it's kind of your job to find them in a sense. Again, without going into too much detail, that's the gist of the game. So you leave the metro and you go and try and find these other civilizations effectively. So the story is interesting enough. I don't really have an issue with the story itself, but the voice acting, it can be pretty bad at times. I don't know whether it's the writing, but I mean, it's based off a book, so I don't know. I don't think it's the writing. I think just some of the delivery of the lines is a little bit lackluster.
The cover of fog.
Oh, it's the bridge guard. Silencias fooled them just like the locals, but unlike them, the bridge guard have guns. Run! There's a way out down here, and there's a boat at the dock.
There's some weighty lines on there that are just delivered like it's nothing. Someone's died or something like that, and they're just like, oh no, he's dead. It's not all the time. You can look past it, but considering how immersive the actual world is, and this just goes to show how, great the world is when something like that can take you out of it and you notice so much, because you're exploring this amazing land, and then you speak to someone that you come across and then you're just like, oh yeah, I am playing a game, and this person, I can barely understand them. They're not stringing a coherent sentence together. It's like listening to me half the time, I bet. Now, on top of that, I think the animations are a bit rigid and janky at times as well. I think during a cutscene, on one of the cutscenes, they ask you to sit down, right? So you sit down at the table, and then when the cutscene's over, you kind of like, your character's supposed to stand up, but he just kind of crouches there. So there's little bugs and glitches like that, and then the animations are just not right. They feel, for want of a better description, last gen. I don't know whether that kind of translates over to you guys and what the message I'm trying to deliver, but like the crouching is just one swift, you are now at this level. You're no longer standing, you are now half the height. It's not that kind of fluid motion into a crouching stance that we've kind of grown accustomed to. But in more immersive games, you kind of feel the rustle of the clothes. You kind of like, it takes a couple of seconds. There is a transition there. And in most animations of the game, it kind of feels like that. Character-based animations are must clarify character-based animations. When it comes to objects in the game or doors, perfect. On top of that, I think the button prompts feel really dated, and there's far too many of them. So for a game that's based on minimalism, I suppose, because, Your HUD's not always there. Parts of the HUD are actually built into your character, which I love. So, for example, the amount of time that's left on your filters, on your gas mask, it's that little timer, a little watch on your wrist. Again, that was in the previous games. Beautiful. I love when games do that. They take away elements of the HUD and put them on your character, on your person, as long as it's not convoluted, and I feel Metro does that really well. They've got all that, and then when you go and climb a ladder, open a door, crawl through a little space, anything, open a box, anything, there's just this big ugly press X or press E key right in the kind of center of your screen. It's just, I think maybe I'm just being nitpicky here, because again, it's just a prompt. But it's because it happens so often, it kind of, and the font is so bold and brash, it doesn't feel right in such a minimalistic game. Maybe I'm just being a bit pedantic here. You let me know in the comments if you feel like just pulling at straws here, but it just takes me out of it. And lastly on the kind of negative side of things, I promise I'll go back into the positive, because there are a lot of positives to touch on. But lastly, it's when you apply settings in this game. I don't know what it's like on the base game, because I haven't played the base game, but the enhanced edition, I've been chopping, changing with a couple of these settings here and there, and it takes ages to change them. I changed the resolution once, or I changed just one of the texture settings, and it literally took a good minute or two to actually change it. It actually had a loading bar to change these things. Now, that's the first time I've seen that in a game ever, and I don't know why that is. I'm on an SSD, a really fast SSD. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't load to change a setting, right? Or so you should think. I mean, that's the first time I've come across it. Usually in games, you go from ultra to high, or high to medium, whatever it may be, and it's pretty instantaneous. There could be like a little hitch or a little bit of lag as it changes the environment around you, but there's never like a 30-second to a minute loading screen. Weird. I don't understand that, and I don't know. Maybe that's just because it's the enhanced edition and it's got loads of extras and ray tracing and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, annoying. Do not like it. Now, back to the positives, because there are a lot of things I want to touch on. I'm just going to blast through them because I don't want to make this video way too long. The crafting system in this game, the backpack system, is great. It basically takes the crafting system from the other games and makes it portable, and you need it in this game. And now it's not the full-fledged crafting system, but it's just the basics, so like med kits and stuff like that. And it's really simple. It's not convoluted, which it kind of can look like at first, because you're picking up resources left and right, but there's only 2 resources that you need to look out for. It's not 5 different things that you need to collect. And when it comes to your backpack, it's just simple stuff like med kits, filters, and then 1 type of ammunition. That's it. That's all you get. So if you're in a pickle, you can get yourself out of it, but you might not have the exact thing that you want. And that's great, because you're on the road a lot. But what's even better is that across the world that you explore, there's these little safe houses. Now, they're not marked in your map initially, which is great, and you wouldn't expect that. But you find these little buildings, and you'll find a crafting bench and a bed in there, and you can sleep to pass the time. But these crafting benches unlock a multitude more upgrades for your weapons, stuff like that, and a lot more resources that you can craft. So instead of just your health kits, etc., it might be a lot more ammunition, bombs, throwing knives, stuff like that you craft now. So when you come across these, you want to take advantage of it, and you want to spend all the scrap and stuff that you picked up at the time. And it's just a great addition. It just makes the world feel lived in as well, because there are these little huts that you can go in and feel safe for a bit and just take a breather. It's great, and trust me, you'll need it when you play this game. Now, when it comes to exploration, this game is like no other game in the series, because it has gone, I don't want to say open world, but it's kind of half open world. I think there's different biomes, and those biomes are open world-ish, kind of. It's like a Borderlands kind of open world game. And exploration is really encouraged for so many reasons, because you are on long journeys a lot of the time. Your objective on your map is usually quite far away. So when you explore these ruins, you want to pick up as many bits and gear as you can, and you'll be spending ammunition and health kits as you explore, because you run into a bit of wildlife or some bandits or whatever. So the more you explore, the more crafting materials you get, and the more safe homes that you find along the way. And that way, obviously, you can plan a route back, because you're going to have to return back to your camp at some point. So it's really, really encouraged. On top of that, when you get to these places, you might unlock side missions and stuff, which are really fun and actually really good from my experience so far. So for one example, I freed some guys from a bandit camp. Just randomly I stumbled across, and they gave me a set of keys, and I had no idea what these set of keys were, and obviously it was tied to one of my main missions. So when I went to the objective of the main mission, these keys fit into a door that I wouldn't have been able to open, and I found some night vision goggles. Now, I don't know whether there is another way of getting night vision goggles later on, or even in that same area, but I got them then, because I did this side mission, I explored, I found this bandit camp, rescued some guys, and it's these little things, these little bits of motivation that the game throws you to explore and rewards you with that are just top quality, in my opinion. Now, to add to the exploration, it's not all about progression. Sometimes it's just about feeling immersed. And on top of the visuals now, the world just feels alive because there's so much wildlife going on. You know, there's big rat things, there's a big fish, there's those massive bats, and there's just those moments that I don't feel you get in too many games, and that I felt in this game pretty much straight away, where you're low on ammo, you're low on meds, you're in the middle of your home and your objective, and you just, well, I need to get to my objective then, because I don't want to turn back now. But ahead of you is a grueling journey. You need to make the most of what you've got. There was a part in this game where I was in that situation, so I was sneaking around, trying to sneak around the wildlife, and I could see them, and then they spotted me, so I had to run, because I was like, I don't have enough ammo to kill these guys, so I just ran to a little boat, and as I was sailing across this boat, then obviously this big fish started attacking me, and it was left, right, and centre. I was just getting attacked by everything, and I just really found myself in a terrible situation, but I made it out alive without even firing a shot, and just by running as fast as I could and finding somewhere to hide and hiding away from them. Now, that might seem a little bit passive to some people, but the only reason I was so low on ammo is because I was killing things beforehand. So it's that good mix of gameplay of, right, you've gone gung-ho before, and now you're paying the price. And you scraped by the skin of your teeth. And it's that mixture of gameplay and that suspense and that tenseness. And you know for a fact that the first thing I needed to do is try and find one of those safe houses and explore and loot more to try and get myself out of that situation. And again, it ties itself to that gameplay loop, which not many other games have, and I feel that that's why this game's so popular. Oh, and on top of that, you can actually kill a huge catfish, and there's some guy who lives in a crane, and there's actually decent jump scares as well. So add all that into the whole environment and exploration, because damn, some of the jump scares are actually scary and are actually good. They don't feel cheap, and who doesn't want to murder a giant catfish, right? But to top it off, just to come to a conclusion, yes, of course, I'd highly recommend this game to anyone at this point. I don't know why it's taken me so long to play it. But a couple last things I want to touch on is the gameplay mechanics. Now, just little touches here and there that really make you think, okay, they've thought about this and this mechanic isn't useless. Like having a little speed boost when you holster your weapon, and when you do that, you can run longer as well. So there's actual reason to holster your weapon in this game, which there isn't in a lot of games. So when you're exploring the world, you're not constantly having your gun up and be like, oh, ready for anything. So when you holster it, it's a choice between being ready for a fight but moving slower, or holstering your weapon, not being 100% ready for a fight, but being able to traverse quicker. And I like that decision. I love having to make that decision. And on top of that, you have to keep cleaning your weapons, otherwise they jam, or they don't do enough damage, or the fire rate starts to slow, it starts to chug a little bit. So you have to repair your weapons, you have to repair your gear as well, your gas mask, your armor. You can find upgrades in the world to your weapons and to your gear. And there's little things like, there's little things like when you've got this stealthy pinball weapon, it like fires pinballs, but it's like gas powered, so you have to pump it up with this hand pump, and the more that you pump it up, the more power it does. So when you're trying to take out a bunch of guards quietly, you constantly stopping to pump up this gun. You can't just ping loads of heads really quickly. And I just love these little things that make you think about what your next step is, make you try and find different ways of tackling what's ahead of you. What I really liked is that if you don't like any of that, if you just want to experience the story, or you just want to be a bit more rash, I suppose, or go in there like Rambo, you can to an extent, because there are difficulty levels which will just make resources really plentiful and allow you to take a lot less damage. So if that's kind of more where you want to take it, there's the option for that. Now, I won't play like that personally, but I'm not going to judge anyone who does, because I know a couple of people that just want to go through the game, experience the story, and that's exactly what those game modes are for, and I'm so happy more games are implementing that. And then on the flip side, there is the really difficulties? Hard modes. There are hard modes where it's kind of hardcore, and there's a couple of different levels of hardcore. Obviously, I believe like some of the HUD would be gone and resources would be really scarce, so you really don't want to be caught in the open with a lot of ghouls and monsters and stuff like that, which I think maybe if I ever replay this game again, I might choose those difficulties. But I think the normal difficulty is good. It is a really good balance of the two, so far at least I'm finding. So yeah, overall I feel like the game's really done well, and the fact that the developers have gone back and updated this game the way they have, for a single player game to just redo their entire art design, or the lighting design, the reflections and stuff is magnificent, and it definitely worked. It definitely hooked me in, and to be honest, I hope it hooks more people in that were sitting on the fence about buying this game, because I'm so happy that I did. I'm so happy that I gave it a go, and it gave me that motivation to pick it up. There's something for everyone in there. The difficulty selections are great. Gameplay is great. There's a couple of quirks in it, of course, like any game. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong. It's not the best game you're ever going to play, but it's definitely worth it, 100%. But that's just my views on it, guys. You let me know if you played it before. If you have, let me know what you think about the game, especially if you've tried the Enhanced Edition. Do you think it looks better? I've heard some people don't think it looks as good, but that's just, a taste thing, I guess. Either way, let me know in the comments down below. If you like what you hear, if you like my ramblings, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. And until next time, guys, cheers.